Fade away. You fade away. Fade away. Fade away.
You know my tears are cold, shades of whiskeys and beers. Again I hold to ward off the fears. I drown myself in sea of questions.
Hey guys, welcome back. So I wanted to give you a fun, really flirty, but kind of glam makeup tutorial for Valentine's Day this year. And not only am I using a ton of new makeup products, but we're also getting this winged out look without using any winged eyeliner. So this is gonna be easy for everybody. Not only that, but I give you 3 different lip options. That way there's something for everybody in this tutorial. So if you wanna see how to get this look, then just keep on watching. I've already primed and I used the Marc Jacobs Undercover Coconut Primer. And the reason I use this is because I'm going to use the Marc Jacobs Remarkable Foundation today. And this is in the shade 22 Bisque Light. It's gonna be a little bit too light for me initially because I am self-tanned today, but it does oxidize, and then once I apply like my bronzer and my contour and stuff, you'll see it'll match. I've been using this for a little over a week and I really like it a lot. I would not recommend it if you are dry at all though, because I recently got a peel, like a chemical peel. It was pretty serious and a lot of my skin peeled off, and it's been pretty dry compared to how my skin normally is, and this will cling to any dry patch and be very noticeable. So if you're dry at all, you will not like this. Even if you use a hydrating primer like this, you will like this if you're oily though, because it's very matte. It doesn't feel drying at all, but it's very matte. One thing that I do like about this foundation a lot is it takes very little to get the coverage that you need. This is the MAC 196 Kabuki brush, current favorite foundation brush. Okay, done. Obviously it's too light. Don't worry, it will be fixed in just a minute. For concealer, I'm using the new Makeup Forever Ultra HD, and I did a full review on this and the new Ultra HD foundation stick, which I shall link below for you. I'm going to do a wee bit of baking with this Laura Mercier Secret Brightening Powder. And it's just a translucent powder, but it looks really, really nice in photographs. And I'm just going to take a bit on the tip of my beauty blender and pack that on underneath my eyes. It absorbs any excess concealer and it will help prevent creasing under my eyes. While that is setting, I'm going to do my brows. I'm using Dip Brow in the color Blonde and a Taupe Brow Wiz. What I'm doing is outlining my brows with the Brow Wiz, and then I'm going to fill it in with the pomade. And what I like to do is start on the bottom and get a pretty defined line on the bottom. And I don't do too much of a curve on the bottom. I like to do it a little bit more straight, and I like to do a bit more definition on the top. So you'll see. I have another mirror right in front of me, and what I like to do is fill in my brows close up and then make sure I periodically look at a mirror from a little bit more of a distance, and that will make sure that my brows are even and the same shape and all that good stuff. So this dip brow is actually pretty dried out just because I've had it for a long time and I only use a teeny tiny bit at a time. I don't like to try to dig my brush around in there really hard to damage the bristles. So if that is the case for you, you can take some of this Duraline from Inglot, and it's a liquid, and it will re-moisten the pomade temporarily so that you can get it on your brush and use it. It's really cool, and it works well with gel eyeliners as well. So you can either drop a little bit with the dropper into the pomade, or you can do what I do and put a little bit on the tip of the brush, tap this into the pomade, and it gets actually a lot on the brush. So it's pretty cool. I used to fill my brows in a lot darker, but lately I've been liking the lighter tones. It's just not quite as intense. Then once I'm done, if there are any rough edges, I will take this concealer pencil from MAC. This is a chromographic pencil, and clean up the rough edges with this. Next, we're moving on to eyes, and I'm going to take some Scotch tape and we're going to create some sharp edges with this. Before you do anything else, you want to make sure that both pieces of tape are approximately headed in the same angle. You don't want one coming up this way and one going out that way. It's just not going to match. So you want to try to adjust your tape so that they are both coming out the same distance and going the same angle. Next, we're going to prime. I'm using MAC Paint Pot and Painterly, and I forgot to mention these in my MAC Essentials video, and I didn't realize it until it was already uploading. Anyway, You guys know how much I love these paint pots, so. If you don't prime your eyes, you need to start because not only does it make your shadow last longer, but it makes the shadows more true to color. It's a very important step that no one should be skipping. For eyeshadows, I'm going to be using this Z palette right here. I like to call this my bridal palette because there's a lot of really nice neutrals. And the first shade I'm taking is right here. It is called Birkin from Anastasia. And this is a Morphe M441 brush. Starting all the way out from the tape, I'm going to bring this all the way into the inner corner and keep this in the crease area. This is a pretty fluffy brush, so you're going to cover a broad area, but you want to keep this above the lid. Keep that lid space clear. And you'll want to go in windshield wiper motions until that's nice and soft and blended out. This is a nice pinky brown color. It's really pretty. And I am bringing this color pretty high up, not all the way up to my eyebrow, but pretty close. I want you to be able to see this color when my eyes are open. If you have trouble keeping your crease colors off of your lid when you're blending, try doing back and forth motions like this instead of circular motions, and also try angling your brush downward like this. Going back into the palette, I'm using this shade here called Dusty Rose from Anastasia Beverly Hills, and using a slightly smaller blending brush. This is a Zoeva 227. And I'm going to do the same motions, but I'm going to keep it deeper in the socket. And this is a flatter brush from the side, so it's going to keep the shadow in a smaller surface area. Same motions all the way into the inner corner. Then I'm going to take a clean fluffy brush and just go over the top of those, and that will help make sure everything is nice and blended. You want to keep these colors softly transitioned into one another. You don't want it to be really distinct where one color stops and the next color starts. You just want it to nicely fade. And just a little bit more of that Dusty Rose shade just to deepen up the crease. By adding layers of this color, you're going to give it a lot of dimension. Next, I'm taking a little bit of this shade right here. It is called 09 from Morphe. I don't think their colors have names. I think they're just numbers. Anyway, I'm gonna highlight my inner eye with this color. Not going crazy with the inner eye highlight, just a little bit right here around my tear duct. Making sure that's nice and blended as well. For my lid color, I'm using a touch of Lilac from Anastasia Beverly Hills. It's a very light, frosty, whitish, pinkish, beigeish, plumish color. And I'm just going to pack that all over my lid until I get that nice and opaque. One good thing about baking before you do your eyeshadow is if you have any fallout, when you go to sweep away the baking powder, most of the time it's going to sweep away the fallout as well without leaving like colored streaks under your eyes. So it's another benefit of baking. Next, I'm going to take my Zoeva brush with no additional color and blend out the edge where the lid color meets the crease color. And by doing this, even if my lid color, like the edges are kind of jagged, this is going to help clean it up. Now at this point, it's a good idea to step back and look in the mirror, look at your face as a whole, make sure your eyeshadow looks the same. It's just a good idea to stop and just take a look for a second to make sure everything looks the same on both sides. Next, on a teeny tiny little pencil brush, I'm going into Vintage from Makeup Geek. This is one of their newer matte shades, and I love this color. It's kind of like a purpley brown. It's really nice. And what I'm going to do is define the outer corner with this color. And I'm going to start sketching this on right at the edge of the tape in sort of a wing shape and dragging it onto my lid. Not dragging it too far in, maybe like halfway, but I'm just going to add a little tiny bit of shadow at a time. This is not one of those colors that you want to like pack onto your brush right from the get-go. You just want to do a little bit at a time just to make sure it stays nice and soft. And as you can see, I'm also taking that color and bringing it onto the very base of the crease colors. That way it goes from this color to the next color to the next color. While I'm in the process of getting this V shape right here, it gets a little bit of shadow right here, which is actually what I want. I'm going to go back in with a Zoeva brush with no additional color and start blending that inward. This is really going to smoke out this outer corner. Go back in with a small brush, define the upper lash line. The key to using darker colors is applying them with a little tiny brush and then blending them out with a fluffier brush. So you can see here I'm applying it with a little pencil brush and then taking the Zoeva brush and blending that out. Now it's time to take the tape off. So I'm going to dust away my baking powder. This is just a clean brush. This is actually an e.l.f. brush. I like this brush a lot. It's called the small tapered brush. Works pretty good for under eye setting. Now continuing on with our eyeshadow, I'm going back into Vintage and I'm using this Sigma flat definer. It's a really tiny flat brush. Get a little bit of that on there and then press that into the outer lower lash line, right up next to the eyelashes, and then connect it with where that wing starts. And you can see I'm not bringing this very far in, maybe like not even halfway on my lower lash line. Then I'm going to take my color switch that is this little sponge thing, and it's like a quick makeup brush cleaner. I'm gonna take the pencil brush that I use in the outer corner and drag it all over the little sponge. It's gonna clear off a lot of the dark shadow. And I got mine from Makeup Geek, but you can get them from Sephora now. So kind of clears off a lot of that dark shadow, which is really nice if you're kind of running low on brushes or your brushes aren't clean and you need to use them. You can just use this to clear off any powder products. Next, I'm going back into Dusty Rose, which was the medium shade that we used on our crease, on this little pencil brush, and I'm going to use that to blend out the darker color. Next, I'm taking this NYX glitter, and it's a glitter liner. This is in the color Crystal Pink, and it's a gorgeous, like cool bluish pink. And we're going to get this on the inner corner, starting from the very inner corner and about halfway back on the lower lash line. Next, I'm going to pop on a little mascara. This is the Covergirl Full Lash Bloom. This is one of my favorite drugstore mascaras because the spiky brush will keep your lashes nice and separated. I'm also going to take that same MAC pencil that I used to clean up my eyebrows and use it to line my lower waterline. And now I shall apply these Koko Bella lashes. Moving back to the face makeup, I'm going to use my Anastasia Contour Kit, and I'm going to use the shade Fawn here in the middle just to contour my cheeks a little bit and then also my jawline. I'm not going for an extremely structured contour, just a little something to enhance my bone structure, aka hide my double chin. And a little on the forehead too, just for good measure. I'm also going to contour my nose, and I'll be using the smaller end of the brush that came with one of my Naked palettes. A couple tips real quick for contouring your nose, now that I'm like halfway done. You want the sides of your nose to be light. So like when you are blending on your under eye concealer, blend a little bit of that up onto your nose. You want to get rid of that shadowy tone that's right there. And then when you take your powder or your cream, whatever you're contouring with, the skinnier the lines are, the thinner your nose is going to look. So if you have a really wide nose and you want it to look thinner, take just a teeny tiny little bit on a thin brush and draw skinny lines. And then you'll blend that out just a little bit, but the skinnier the lines are, the skinnier your nose is going to look. For bronzer, I'll be using this drugstore bronzer. It's from NYC in the shade Sunny. For blush, I'm using this one from Milani. It is in the shade Tea Rose, and these blushes are really, really nice. So I'm using my MAC 168 angled brush to apply this, and I'm finding that point where it's almost the highest point of my cheekbone, and I'm not going to bring it really far in onto the apples of my cheeks. I'm going to leave it right around this area right here. For my highlighter, really excited because I'm going to be layering highlighters. I'm going to take this Benefit Sunbeam, which is a liquid highlighter, and lay that down first. And then on top of that, I'm going to use this Natasha Denona highlighter. This is in the shade Glow. It's gorgeous. It is gorgeous. It's not like super duper blingy like Becca Opal, but it's amazing. It's just a beautiful, peachy, goldish, really nice candlelit glow. It's so beautiful. I'm going to take this and just brush it on the high point of my cheekbone down to the apple of my cheek. Same thing there. And a little bit on the tip of my nose and my cupid's bow. And I'm going to take my beauty blender and pat that on. Then with the Natasha Denona highlighter, I'm using the Sigma F03 High Cheekbone Highlighter. And I'm going to run this back and forth. Now we are finally moving on to lips, and I wanted to give you 3 different options, and they're all from Tarte. These are the new matte lip paints. The first color I'm using is called Bay, and it is a nice rich blood red. If you're using a dramatic lip color, I would recommend using a lip pencil ahead of time, so that's what I'm going to do. For this color, I'm using MAC Cherry. I can already tell my lips are going to be sore. The next color I'm using is called Adorbs, and it is a nice neon pink. I absolutely adore this color. For my liner, I'm using MAC Magenta. Something that's cool about these Tarte lip paints is they each have a matching lip liner. I do not own them, that's why I'm using something else. I wore this color a couple videos ago and people were like, oh my god, what is that? This is it, girl. The last lip color I want to show you is TBT from Tarte, and I'm going to be pairing this with MAC Beurre Lip Liner. This shade is perfect if you're not really into those bright, dramatic colors, but you really like that mauve-y lip trend. This is a rosy brown, so it's going to be flattering on pretty much any skin tone. That's going to be all for today, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this Valentine's Day look, and please do not forget to leave suggestions for future videos down below in the comments. I'm taking requests at the moment. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. I would love to have you back, and thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!
Start to fade away. I'm walking down the streets, everyone looking at me. On my head high, honey, cause I'm fuck out these bitches. They said that I'm